Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good. Pretty good. The Oilers are. It's just not me saying the Oilers are the best team in the NHL anymore, Bruce. It's just not me and a handful of optimistic Oilers fans. It's a lot of people starting to say that. Some of them, I think, quite grudgingly. But I noticed that Money Puck had the Oilers as, on a percentage basis, the team most likely to win the Stanley Cup. And you can certainly see why, Bruce, the way they've been playing. They almost had 3 shutouts in a row here. They gave up 1 to the Los Angeles Kings in a 3-1 victory. It was billed as the biggest game of the year. I don't know if I believe. What do you think about that? Biggest game of the year?
I guess it depends. If playoff seeding is your thing, then sure, this was a big game. But last Wednesday's game in Edmonton against the Kings was just as big, and I think was probably a more emphatic performance. Like tonight, I didn't think either team really played their best for chunks of this game until Edmonton gradually took control. But anytime you can move from third place into second with a week to go in the season, that's a big game. And they'd be knocking on the door of the division crown if only. Who was it that had the lead against Vegas?
Was it the Wild or Nashville?
The Wild had a 60th minute lead against Vegas, and Vegas tied it with 35 seconds left and won it in the shootout. So they managed to gain 2 points from a losing position, and that's very likely. We're getting down to the short strokes, and that's a.
Although Vegas lost tonight in overtime, of course.
In overtime, so they got 1 point out of that. So. Anyway, such is the nature of Gary Bettman's NHL that some games are worth more than others.
Yeah, they are.
It's a pet peeve of mine from way back, as many of you probably know by now. But it is what it is. All you can do is take the 2 available to you, which the Oilers did, and ideally you do not give the opponents any at all, which the Oilers also did. So they gained 2 on the Kings, but they only gained 1 on the Knights, even though they also lost. Yeah. Lost.
So the Oilers now with 101 points, Bruce. And 46 wins. Not bad.
First time, Stauffer's been talking about 47 wins all season, and I think he's about to get his wish.
Yeah.
Here with a couple of games
left.
He
said 47 to 52.
Yeah, well,
wins.
his minimum. He said his minimum
is 47. And he asked me to predict a few weeks ago, he thought they would end up with 47, and I said 48.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see who's right. Okay.
The thing about that is if they get to 49 or even 50, you still win, right? Because you're closer.
Correct.
Although I guess he did pick a range, didn't he?
Bob will be happy with every win, just like most people in Edmonton. All right, Bruce. 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers. We'll go with 2 good things each. What is your first?
Yeah, well, I'm going to go with how Oilers took over this game. And I thought in the first period was just a slog. Like the 2 were feeling each other out, and they were kind of pounding away. And the shots on net were 3-2, which is low as the shots in a period as I can remember in a long, long time. 3-2 for LA. As if that makes any difference. But in the second period, Edmonton outshot them 15-11, and then in the third period, 16-7. And I think those numbers kind of fairly represent the flow of play in this game. Edmonton was getting the more and the better chances, and more of the game was being played deep in LA's territory as they went on. And when the Kings tied it, I thought at 1-0, I thought, well, I don't suppose they're going to win 1-0, but I was, they just got the goal on one of those plays, and I was strangely confident that the Oilers would get that goal back and find a way to win this game, and sure enough, they did. And they earned it. They drew a penalty with hard work, and then they scored a goal on the power play with hard work, which you're going to talk about in a minute. And then once they had their nose in front again, man, LA was not getting through. I mean, Skinner was stopping the odd shot from outside and freezing the odd shoot in, but it seemed like the Oilers were blocking most of the paths towards the net front, and it seems that they were exiting their own zone and entering the LA zone with reasonable confidence. They were on the forecheck. It's not like they were backing off at all. They were still playing the 200-foot game, and it served them well, and they deserved to win this game, and they won it.
They sure did, Bruce. And they won it with some solid goaltending, some decent even strength play, and of course their historically good power play, which was 2 for 4 tonight. And the first 2 power plays were pretty, they didn't get a whole lot done on their first 2 power plays. Between those first two power plays, they only had 1 grade A shot. So, but being the Oilers, they can wrap it up pretty quick, and that's what happened on the second power play, or the third power play of the game, which is halfway through the third period. There's a scramble play, and first McDavid pops the puck, wins the puck on the boards. There's another scramble, then Draisaitl wins it, and it goes to, as I recall, to Bouchard, who then makes a nice pass to Draisaitl, who then makes one of those passes that only Draisaitl can make almost, whips it over to Nugent Hopkins, who with his improved shot, the goalie's moving, it's across the Royal Road, across the center of the ice, and Nugent Hopkins rips in a shot for his, he got 99 points by the end of the game.
His 36th of the year, and then that was his 98th point. And,
got
another one on the next power play goal, which I think you're about to describe.
Yeah, which was almost as nice. Not, it was the go-ahead goal, so in some ways it was more exciting. This one's with 7:20 left in the third period. The puck's moved around. Nugent Hopkins gets it in the slot, puts it over to McDavid, who makes just such a heads-up play. He backs up with the puck to get a better shooting position and rips it on net. Kind of from the edge of the scoring chance home plate area, and there's a rebound. Hyman's crowding the goalie, fortunately not too much, and the rebound goes to Draisaitl, who slams it in. It was just a fantastic, another fantastic goal. And so the Oilers power play, we don't have the most up-to-date stats, but heading into the game, Montreal in number 2, 1977-78 Montreal Canadiens at 31.9%. Now the Oilers are heading into the game, they were at 32.4%. So that will go up just a little bit. But you want it to go up because there's some games left and it could easily go down. So
sure.
But Bruce, you were mentioning the other night, just in our kind of private chat on Twitter, that you've been watching some other teams playing hockey, and you noted that not all power plays look like the Edmonton power play. What were you seeing?
Yeah, somebody else pointed that out on Twitter today, and I replied to them, but I believe I may have also tweeted myself that a while back. But just what's more what I'm not seeing, David, which is magic.
Yeah.
The puck just isn't whipping around for other teams, and they're, the puck's getting cleared out of the zone. I mean, one of the things about the Oilers is that they're absolutely phenomenal at winning the puck back without the zone being cleared. I mean, not every power play, and sometimes it gets sent down 2 or 3 times. But tonight we saw cases of Oilers winning battles to gain or regain possession of the puck without it leaving the zone, and then the possibility to regenerate scoring chances from there. And it happened really on both goals. I mean, you described the battle. I mean, McDavid, it looked like they were going to clear the zone, and he was able to get a piece of it and chip it to Draisaitl. And under duress, Draisaitl was able to get it back to Bouchard, and he had a guy on him, and he was able to get it back to Draisaitl. And finally, after all that action, the Draisaitl's got the puck with enough time to find and make a perfect pass, which is to say about 0.5 seconds that it took him to do that. But he finally got a lane, and boom, it was gone. And then Nuge really had time on the other side of the ice after 3 different Oilers basically won battles to maintain that possession in the first place. And then the winner it came on a second chance because there was a chance maybe about 10 seconds before that where Leon had shot for the far corner and netminder Phoenix Copley made a pad save and kicked it into his stick side corner. And over there, McDavid won the battle and came out with the puck. And from there, it was, let's see what we can create against the chaos from the first missed chance. And I think within 10 seconds, puck was in the net. And McDavid himself, as you say, he fired a good shot on net. And Draisaitl got the rebound and popped it home. And I was able to say, aha, to my wife, because earlier in the game, I said consistently, guys, you got the puck on the 2-on-1 and you make the pass, great. But if you make the shot and they stop it, the rebound can be just as good or even better than the pass because the goalie is still responding from the first shot. And I was particularly annoyed when Yamamoto tried an impossible pass on a 2-on-1 when he had a clear angle to the net. But Costin did the same thing last game. McDavid's been doing a little bit lately. But in this play, Connor thought, well, I've got the puck in shooting position. Why don't I just shoot it? Sure enough, didn't go in, but it created a good enough rebound that Draisaitl was able to power it home. And, on the score sheet, it's a primary assist as if McDavid had deked 2 or 3 guys and laid a saucer right on somebody's stick for the tap in. Sometimes you got to power it in, and power it sometimes takes more than one shot. And on this occasion it did. So the Oilers' power plays ability to intensify their attack. And I've seen this before this year where they have 1 or 2 power plays early in the game that don't score, and then by the third one, look out, it's like the third time through the batting order for a major league pitcher. It's a whole lot tougher. And they're, if they haven't scored in a couple chances, they're a little ticked off, and then they say, well, we can do better than that. And sure enough, they did better than that. And they got the only 2 5-on-5, the only 2 goals that they really needed. I mean, none of the goals came at 5-on-5. Just 2 power play goals and empty netter.
The power play has, I think, ticked up since Evan Bouchard has taken over on the point. I would say, there was a few, he was a little bit nervous on a few passes. They were a little bit off. I still see that a little bit of nerviness with him, but the other players have never been at a higher level than they are right now on this power play. And what the Oilers need is for the referees to call penalties in the playoffs. Because if that's going to happen, it will inhibit the other team from playing too rough against the Oilers and from trying too much stuff against the Oilers, just out of fear of having this power play come on. So they will have to really tone down their barbarian act of hacking and slashing and cheating. If the refs will only call penalties at a normal rate, call the rule book in the playoffs. It might be asking too much, probably is, but
start now.
Yeah, fingers crossed. If the NHL actually wants the Oilers and Connor McDavid, their best player, in the Stanley Cup Finals, which would actually be a pretty good idea for this league.
They don't want anything, David. They're neutral, remember?
Yeah, baloney.
Mm-hmm.
If they wanted that, they would say just call the rule book and we're serious. Don't do this playoff stuff, refs. We're looking for you. If you're not calling penalties, you're not going to be refereeing in the playoffs. If that's the message, that should be the message. That would be neutral, and that would be a huge benefit to the Oilers. Bruce, what is your second good thing?
Neutrality is all we want.
Yeah.
I'd rather a game with 4 power plays each than a game with none.
Yeah.
But anyway. My second good thing is the great Leon Draisaitl had another fantastic game tonight, and he's been putting them together one after another lately. He had 1 goal, 2 assists in this game, and a 3-1 victory, including the game winner, which I think is his 11th of the year, probably puts him in the team league lead again in that department. And this is the old-fashioned game winner. A few minutes left in the third period, tie games. It's not like he scored the 4-1 goal in an 8-3 win like Taylor Hall taunted Glenn Anderson all those years ago. Leon tends to deliver when chips are on the line, and he did that again tonight. And then you described the pass across he made to Nuge, and then on the 3-1, it was just a clean face-off win against Angie Kopitar. And it seemed to me that Leon had been cleaning Kopitar's clock with regularity throughout the stretch of this game. The defensive zone draws And it's a common thing in the McCurdy household that they drop the puck in Oilers D zone. The other team wins the draw. Bruce swears like it just bang, 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 right? Especially when it happens over and over, like it does some nights, where they get 83 face-offs and they win 82 of them in the third period, or so it seems. But tonight it just seemed like Oilers would win the puck. He'd win it back. Defenseman would make a good play with it. They'd get it up along the wall and out. And he did go, in fact, 13 and 9, 59% on the dot tonight with 2 shots on net, 3 hits, goal, 2 assists. But the plays that caught my eye the most of Leon tonight were early in the second period. And there was 2 of them, maybe one shift apart, where the Kings are really putting the pressure on in Oilers territory. And twice, Leon in the defensive left wing corner got the puck on his stick for a split second, and wham, he delivered one of those quick backhand passes of his, click right onto the stick of a defenseman in the slot, nobody around him, walk it out. And it happened twice. The second time, the only problem was that the defenseman was so surprised to get the pass that it kind of went through his stick and he had to recover a little bit. But both times, just slick as a whistle, and just no time, once he saw the lane, bam, the puck was on the guy's stick. And the other team is, they're covering the boards, all the, above the play, below the play, and trying to pin the guy in that way. And those little quick feeds, Oilers did it a lot. Maybe 2 years ago, they did a lot of breakouts up the middle, and they don't do it so much. But in these 2 plays, it was appropriate and just done so quickly and cleanly. And when you see Leon playing the full 200 feet of the ice like he's been doing now for a month, he is one fantastic hockey player, and he is putting his stamp on every game at this point of the season.
He is indeed. Bruce, my second good thing is it's just a quick play that didn't amount to much, because maybe some overpassing of the puck on this one as well. But early in the third period, Connor McDavid, the puck's advancing out of the LA end, and McDavid wins the puck off an LA player in the neutral zone, and immediately, as only he can do, hard cut, rapid acceleration, jet, afterburners on, charging into the King zone. And the best thing ever happened. Drew Doughty saw Connor McDavid charging at him at light speed, and he just, his feet looks like his knees turned to jelly, and he lost his footing. It was fantastic to see Doughty go down like that, and it just could have been a stumble, right? It might not even been anything, but I just imagine that like seeing McDavid coming at you with that kind of speed is awesome and frightening if you're a defenseman. So it was great to see McDavid. It was like a passing of the guard. How many times have we seen Drew Doughty just mash Oilers players and dominate the Oilers? But he's getting his. Draisaitl has hit him a couple times in the last, like this game, he hit him. I think he actually hit the boards harder than he hit Drew Doughty in this game. But he
got a piece of him.
He got a piece of him, and he hit him last game really hard. And
crunched him.
Someone else, they're going after Drew Doughty, which should be the play, because Drew Doughty isn't the Drew Doughty of 10 years ago. He's lost a step. He's still a fantastic hockey player, but you can hit him, and that should be the strategy. Hit him. And anyway, on this play, McDavid went around him, and then instead of shooting, he thought he'd pass over to Hyman. He probably should have shot on the play and gone for the rebound. It would have been a fantastic highlight reel goal if he had scored, especially because for forever in eternity, on that goal, we would have seen Doughty falling down like that. It would have been spectacular, but not to be. Still a good thing, though.
Yeah, that was one of those plays where I was thinking a rebound would have been as good as a pass, especially a pass that missed, as it turned out in the end. But it'd be nice to watch that replay. I mean, you want to talk about watching replays? The poor guy this year got the worst of it. The worst was Ryan McLeod in Toronto. Remember when he made that horrible giveaway right in front of his own net, and Mitch Marner deked Skinner to score and begin the Toronto comeback? And it was such a great play by Marner. And I'm not sure we rated this as much as we should have at the time, but having seen the play a number of times since, every time I see it, I go, oh, wow, incredible hands move, deke finish by Marner. Yeah. And it was
Yeah.
such a good play that it became TSN's highlight of the night. And then it became TSN's one-on-one champion, where they played it against each night's highlight of the night for 10 games in a row before it was retired undefeated as a highlight of the night one-on-one champion 10 straight times, and went into their Hall of Fame. That's how they do it. And every year you get a handful of plays that, are so good that they just hang on for a week and a half like that. But I was thinking of poor Ryan McLeod after that mistake in front of his family and friends in his hometown of Toronto, a game-turning goal. And then every night after that, watching the highlights on TSN, and here's that damn play coming up again and again of him coughing the puck up before Marner
Yeah, you turn the TV
converts it.
channel.
Oh.
It's why they've invented channel changers for that.
For Ryan McLeod. Of course, he was hurt by then, so probably sitting at home watching Sports Center some of these nights. Anyway, such is hockey. Sometimes you make a mistake, the goalie makes a play, and 5 minutes later, somebody says, "I don't remember it." But the guy makes the play, which Marner did with phenomenal precision on that particular sequence. So you got to live with it for a long time.
It's my bad thing now.
Yeah. No, your number.
No,
You have a number.
no,
Number.
I haven't done my bad thing yet.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay.
I haven't done mine yet.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Hey, what's your bad thing?
Yeah, I've got a whole lot bad. I wasn't thrilled with some of the calls, but that's nothing that's any different from most nights. I I thought the first period, like the start of the game, was pretty sluggish, and as I said earlier, I thought both teams were a little bit kind of off the game. LA was playing their fourth in 6 nights, and Oilers weren't quite clicking, and they were just slogging it out in the trenches, World War One style. And in some ways, it was quite fascinating. But in terms of flow of the game, or any kind of any kind of space to skate in, or do exciting stuff like shoot the puck, score a goal, that kind of thing, there just wasn't any space for any of that kind of stuff. And the shots were 3-2, and I think the grade A shots might have been 1-1 or
2-1.
2-1. Wow.
For the Kings, but they were marginal grade A shots.
Yeah, it was one of those nights where time and again you and I were saying, well, was it grade A or was it like a B plus? Or because some of the chances were very marginal, and there wasn't too much that was real clean and open. So anyway, the first period, I don't want to say it's my bad thing, but it's just kind of my unexpected thing in terms of the game started without flow, and it took a while before it developed a rhythm.
My bad thing, Bruce, will be the Kings' goal. In particular, I felt it coming. I thought actually Vincent Desharnais this game was handling the puck really well all game long until this play, and he made a pass that I just thought spoke to his, not necessarily, maybe his inexperience, maybe his he is a rookie, but it just wasn't the right play. And it wasn't even a terrible pass. It's fairly safe. He's on his side of the ice, and he rims it around the boards, and Evander Kane is there. But a pass that long in your own zone, where you're rimming it right around the boards to the other side, to the forward, that's kind of a license for that forward to have to get hit, to have to puck protect. Even if he's wide open initially, that by the time that gets to him, he's going to be in a fight for it. And that's exactly what happened. And I just thought a safer play is put it up your own boards, probably. I mean, I'm not exactly sure what was going on his own boards because the camera angle didn't show it. But as soon as that pass was going, I was thinking, like this could end up badly. And it did. The puck goes to the point. And then two Oilers, Draisaitl and Desharnais, who's rushed into the play again, screen Stuart Skinner. There might even have been a screen from an LA King, but I don't think Skinner saw the puck. It was a solid screen through two players flashing past the direction of the puck, past the root of the puck, and it goes in. So Desharnais, compounded his mistake by screening his own goalie on the shot. So he had a good game. Mm-hmm. I thought actually he had a very good game. I liked his play this game, and I think his passing is getting sharper and sharper
I do too.
as he's going along in the NHL. That's what I'm noticing. He and Kulak are starting to get a little rhythm, a little familiarity. They're working together fairly well. They're looking good out there, but not on that play.
Yeah, yeah. I think he got beat by speed one or two times in this game as well, Desharnais. But when the puck was in, like he didn't get, nobody sort of beat him one-on-one. They weren't getting around him, and they weren't, getting the puck through him either. But he had a couple of little adventures, and then that goal. I mean, the turnover was the thing, and it was just pass it back to the point, shoot it into traffic, and it's one out of 20 times the Californian.
Yeah.
Goes through everybody, or it hits a body, or it creates a rebound, or anyway,
It's a good play.
Things that can go wrong. Yeah, Jack Campbell overreaches and deflects it into his own net. There's all kinds of stuff that can go wrong.
He's been known to do
sorry,
that.
Jack. That was kind of unnecessary. But it's happened twice. Now, so it's been, and that was just one that got through. And so, small mistakes. And I mean, I don't want to get too critical of guys for being in the shooting lane if they're there and trying to make a play, and puck finds a hole, as they say, when it gets through the goalie. Well, it does the same thing to the potential shot blockers too, right? He hit the cylinder of where that puck could find a pass all the way through and into the net. And Victor Arvidsson, good player, good shot. So,
your number, Bruce.
Yeah, I'm betwixt and between. I got two. They're so good, I may have to mention them both. But the one I'm going to go with 15, which is now the number of power play goals by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins after his icebreaker tonight, becoming the fourth Edmonton Oiler of the season to hit 15 goals on the power play. And apparently it's been confirmed that the Oilers are the first team in the history of the NHL to have 15 power play goal scorers on their team. And as I read the stats, and they're not quite yet updated, but I think we have 4 guys in the top 10 technically
for power play goals.
Power play goals. Draisaitl with 31, McDavid with 21, and then so they're 1-2, and then at 15 now we have in 9th place Timo Meier, Dylan Arkin, Sam Reinhart, Zach Hyman, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. So all 5 of them are tied for 9th. So I think you can say we got 4 in the top 10 and not be too much of a stretch. And first time in NHL history. So, and that unit has been doing all of the damage for the Oilers. Just let me bring it up. But I think Barry has 4 power play goals, and yeah, there it is. And Bouchard has 1 since he joined the first unit, and everybody else on the team has 0. So 52, 82, 87 power play goals, and the first unit has scored all 87 of them. Like they get typically most years they get 80, 82% of the power play time. So of course they're going to get most of the goals, and they're going to score more than 80 or 82% because they're way better than the second power play. But 100%, that's pretty extreme.
This is an extreme season for the power play of the Edmonton Oilers. If nothing else, this is that. Bruce, this was the tightest checking game of the year, and I don't think it's actually that close. The grade A shots were 11-8 for Edmonton. Yeah. And most of those grade A shots at least half were in the marginal end. We debated, are these really grade A? And then and we eliminated a bunch of them, and then some of them,
some A minuses and a few B pluses, and we got rid of the B pluses. But it's not like it's 1 to 0. I mean, eventually that's how we record it. Either is or it isn't. But of course, there's plenty in the 60-40 to 40-60 range where you just got to make a call. And tonight it was easy to be conservative making those calls because the teams were not giving up a whole hell of a lot, were they?
They were not. 11-8 for grade A shots. But the even more interesting is the subset of the grade A shots. So the grade A shots go in on average so this is all grade A shots, including the subset of 5 alarm shots. The grade A shots go in 25% of the time. If you take out that subset of 5 alarm shots, they go in about 33% of the time. In this game, so in an average an average Oilers game this year, Bruce, there has been 14 5 alarm shots per game, roughly 14 per game. The Oilers have averaged eight a game, and the opposition 6.3. In this game, the Oilers had 2, and the Kings had 1. So it was the fewest 5 alarm shots in a game this year. The previous low was a recent game against the Boston Bruins, where there was 5. There was 3 for the Oilers and 2 for the Bruins.
Right.
Let me just see. That was game 66. The Oilers beat the Bruins 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a very tight checking game as well. The grade A shots were a similar number, 11 for Boston in that game and just 7 for the Oilers. But there was the really great scoring chances this game were few and far between. There was hardly any of them. And both teams, it's exciting to see the Oilers play this way. And, not exciting in terms of high scoring hockey, but in terms of winning the Stanley Cup, this is exciting to see the Oilers being able to consistently thwart the attacking of the other teams and limit those grade A shots and limit the 5 alarm shots especially. So it's crucial. This Oilers team, with the goaltending it has, it's got to be able to play this kind of hockey, and they've been doing it. So I'm excited about that.
Right. Well, I'm going to give you my bonus number. I'm going to declare statistician's privilege and say this one I want to share. Oilers outshot the Kings 33-21 tonight. They out-hit them 39-23. And one of the stats is that of those hits, only 5 were delivered by Oilers defensemen and 34 by forwards, meaning they were pounding the LA defense a lot in this game. I haven't seen who they were hitting, but I know that when we add them up, probably the majority of hits were received by LA defensemen, which is how you want to set up shop in a playoff series as well. And the following forwards had multiple shots and multiple hits, which to me is a sign of a guy who's in the game and making stuff happen. It's kind of a power forward pair of stats. So Klim Kostin, 2 shots, 5 hits. Leon Draisaitl, 2 shots, 3 hits. Nick Bjugstad, 5 shots, 6 hits. Evander Kane, 4 shots, 8 hits. And Connor McDavid, 3 shots, 5 hits. And these guys were bringing it physically, and they were bringing the puck to the net. And Evander Kane was a beast in this game. He was just a load all game long for LA, just powering up the walls, pursuing the puck. And then when he got to the end of the wall, he'd smash the other guy into it. And Bjugstad was, very active in this game in a good way. And I think that those players and those kind of contributions sort of established, the Oilers made their mark in this game. I think physically, they won the physical battle and they wore LA down. And that's the reason they got better in the second period and better again in the third.
Earlier this week, Bruce, I did a kind of, quick back of the envelope kind of study on power forwards. And I just ranked who are the best power forwards based on 2 stats. Their even strength, points per 60, and their hits per 60. Right. So just, probably the best offensive metric that we have for all of like it's publicly available. I wish we had a better number than that, their major contributions to grade A shots and all state game states, but we have this. And their hits, which is a pretty good marker of physical play. And interestingly, there was 2 Edmonton Oilers in the top 5, if you go by that. So number 1 overall, Brady Tkachuk, and then Alex Ovechkin is number 2. So this made me think, this stat isn't complete crap. Like, if it's identifying Tkachuk as the best and Ovechkin, this seems to make. Now, in number 3 place was Klim Kostin of the Oilers. Now, a lot of that is based on some really strong even strength scoring, which has come off what we knew then and what we can say now with more certainty was a real hot shooting streak. Number 4, Evander Kane, and again, that's where Kane belongs. Like, if you're looking
belongs
for
in
a
there for
statistical
sure.
way to identify power forwards, Evander Kane should be in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to suggest he is number four. The interesting thing, Bruce, is that the Oilers they had 7 forwards in the top 125 going by this particular metric. So Costin
Expect
3,
4.
Kane 4, Warren Fogle 30th overall, Connor McDavid 37th overall, Zach Hyman 60th, Leon Draisaitl 114th, and Nick Bjugstad 123rd. So they have 2 full lines now plus 1 of players who hit a lot, put up some points as well, and some more of one than the other.
Right.
And the other exciting thing from this is, although Leon Draisaitl ranks 114th in the regular season for this, when Leon turns it on and he's playing in the playoffs and he starts to hit, because he'll go through many long stretches of the regular season where he's not going to throw a hit, but when he gets in the playoffs and he gets it in his head, and against the LA Kings in the last last couple of games, Leon Draisaitl could be the best power forward in the NHL when he puts his mind to it. And that's what I'm expecting to see in the playoffs. So I just think this is a really, it's one of the many little indicators that are filling me full of hope. And in the last 2 games, the goalies have done their bit as well. So hopefully that keeps up.
Yeah. Well, I one stat that I don't trust is hits per 60. And I'll tell you why. It favors energy players who don't play a lot. And to me, a guy who plays 10 minutes and gets 2 hits, he has more hits per 60 than a guy who plays 20 minutes and has 3 hits. But the guy that's playing 20 and throwing that extra hit is putting more wear and tear on. So, as the players play more, they tend to hit less than they need to as their load management purposes. So I tend to, hits is one where rather than the per 60, I almost prefer just the raw number.
That's an interesting.
How many
Yeah, you
times
could
did you
do that.
bash someone, and that's it's a subtlety to that stat, but it really changes. Whereas block shots per 60, it doesn't almost seem to matter whether the defenseman plays 24 minutes or 17 or whatever. But the hits, there's wear and tear there. And you talk about guys like Leon, and he's a particularly notable example. And he does his own personal load management, right? They do that in basketball. They sit guys out all the time, a game here, a game there, just so they're not. And Leon never sits out any games, but there are games where he's, shall we say, less engaged than other times, and it's aggravating as hell during the moment. But over the long period, I'd rather have a fresh Leon at the beginning of April, like we have right now, who's played the whole season but hasn't been dishing it out to quite this level for 6 months, but only really for the last 1 month that we've seen him close to the peak of his game, and that suits me fine. And another thing you'll see is that the more mature the team and the more set they are in their playoff berth, it just becomes more natural during the season to just go 90% or 95% on a lot of nights, and just if you're good enough, you're going to win a lot of those games anyway. And the Dynasty Oilers, for instance, were some of their remarkable figures started to drop off in the regular season after they'd won 2 or 3 cups, because they were so focused on just being ready for the playoffs. We know we're going to make the playoffs. Let's get in there and be ready to roll then. And I think that's pretty standard for veteran teams in general.
Yeah, I could go. I think you're making a good point there. And if I did this study again, I might go with hits per game, something like that. Costin does lead the Oilers in hits. He's got 141.
Yeah, well, fair enough. He's there.
Has 136, and he's only played 52 games, so he's still going to be doing pretty well because he has that really high even strength point total. So what I also mused, like, you could include hits taken as a mark of a physical player. So I might.
It's not taken.
Might.
I remember studying that one time when stats first came out, And I studied on the Oilers. The guy who was hit the least by far was Sheldon Surrey, because all the players on the other team were scared shitless that he was just going to give them the Sherwood sandwich. They just left him alone. Poor
Isn't that
Tom
the truth?
Gilbert sure got mashed, but Sheldon Surrey, for whatever reason, and it wasn't because he was so fast he was getting out of the way. It was just that if you did take a run at him, you either paid for it then or you paid for it later.
My final comment, when you brought up the multiple players with hits and shots, did you
Mhm.
get that from Larry Popine? I remember way back in the 1970s, and I think this is
Mhm.
from Larry Popine, who was for a short time the coach of the New York Rangers.
Mhm. I
But it might
remember
have
him
been
as a
Billy
player.
Ray. But he said there was one coach who said, "What I want from every player is one shot and one hit per period." That's how he wanted his players to
Right.
go. So, all right, Bruce,
Well, if you look at
that's
the end of the game, the guy's got 3 shots and 3 hits. You know that he's been in the game. I think that
for
you
sure.
can draw that much from the advanced summary. You can't tell whether he had a good game, but you can sure tell that he was, involved in the game.
Usually a good game. All
Yeah,
right,
usually.
let's wrap it up there. Okay, thanks for
I've
talking,
said
Bruce.
I've said enough already. Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.